Okay, my law of assumption people, I know I'm not the only one who has thought about this. Okay, most of us have read a lot of personal development books, and I kind of thought one of the classics was The Four Agreements. But do y'all remember what the third agreement is? Do you? Third agreement, don't make assumptions. Look, I had to go reread that chapter. And I couldn't really decide if I should read the whole chapter and give you my takeaways, or if I should just give you some of my takeaways, because I wasn't sure if it'd be too boring if I just read the chapters. Okay, on page 63, it says, the problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We could swear they are real. Yeah, that's what we want, right? The law of assumption? Why is that a problem? We make an assumption, we misunderstand, we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and the drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. Okay, here's my takeaway from the first 2 pages of the chapter. It's safe to say he's implying maybe people are making the wrong assumptions, and lack of proper communication, like not asking a question when you need clarification. On page 65, he references basically how people with the law of assumption are manifesting their specific person. So I'm going to read you a little bit of that. An example. You're walking in the mall and you see a person you like. That person turns to you and smiles, then walks away. You can make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. With these assumptions, you can create a whole fantasy, and you really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole big dream begins to form just from your assumption, and you can believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins from that. Maybe you can even get married in fantasy land, but the fantasy is in your mind, in your personal dream. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make assumptions that our partners know what we want and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they're gonna just do what we want because they know us well. If they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel hurt and say, you should have known. And he continues to reference basically problems that happen in the relationship because of your assumptions. But my takeaway for that was, it sounds like there should be some better communicating and maybe harnessing more efficient law of assumption techniques, like putting your intention into your manifestation. Oh yeah, on page 70. Okay, this is for like specific person. Often when you go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. You only see what you want to see, and you deny the things that you don't like about that person. You lie to yourself just to make yourself feel better. Then you make assumptions, and one of those assumptions is, here it is, my love will change this person. But this is not true, he says. I know y'all law of assumption people do not like that. Okay, your love will not change anybody. If others change, it's because they want to change, not because you can change them. Then something happens between the two of you and you get hurt. Suddenly you see what you didn't want to see before. Now it only amplifies your emotional poison. Now you have to justify your emotional pain and blame them for your choices. So he's saying your law of assumption stuff, it's not changing nobody. I know y'all don't like that. Okay, now listen to what he says on page 74, which is the last page of that chapter. He says, taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation for a new habit to grow. After many repetitions, these new agreements will become second nature, and you will see how the magic of your word transform you from a black magician into a white magician. A white magician uses the word for creation, giving, sharing, and loving. By making this one agreement a habit, your whole life will be completely transformed. When you transform the whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because Spirit moves freely through you. This is the mastery of intent, the mastery of the Spirit, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, the mastery of life. This is the goal of the Toilet. This is the path to personal freedom. Okay, so let me wrap my head around this. I think there's like a little bit of a misunderstanding because it sounds like he's calling us law of assumption people black magicians. But then when you read what a white magician is, it kind of sounds like us too. So my takeaway on this whole thing is, I think what he meant by don't make assumptions was he meant in life, make sure you are doing a good job at communicating what you want and what you need. And if you are misunderstanding something or you're afraid you're misunderstanding something, to communicate. So I get when he says don't make assumptions, because a lot of us will make assumptions like assuming, and I've said that before in the past, like don't assume blah, blah, blah. But I think that is when you are coming from a negative place. But I think when you are intentionally making an assumption, a manifestation, a creation, it's different than don't make assumptions. You see what I'm saying? Let me know what you guys think. Give me your input. Drop some comments on the topic. I would love to hear your takeaway or your perspective on what you think about don't make assumptions, the third agreement in the Four Agreements book. And yeah, I hope this video was a little love and light in your life today. And until next time.